Take your thinking in hand. From an address given by Dr. Fox at Unity headquarters in 1936. There is a poem that is popular in truth circles, which incorporates the idea that nothing can keep my own away from me. It is a wonderful poem. John Burroughs, who wrote it, was inspired, as all true poets are. It was a favourite in the Truth Centre in London for many years, but I didn't find that most truth students understood it. My own shall come to me, they say glibly, and then they sit down and fold their hands and hope the Lord will get busy. But in my experience, he never has. I have known good people who have said for 25 years, my own shall come to me, and it has been coming all the time, but it has never arrived. They have been thinking and talking in generalities. Here's the poem. The stars come nightly to the sky, the tidal wave unto the sea, nor time, nor space, nor deep, nor high can keep my own away from me. True, but what is your own? That is the whole point. What is your own? Your own is what you are getting. And as long as you remain the person you are, you will keep on getting that. Why is it that nothing ever happens to most people? They are born casually, they grow up casually, they go to school casually, fall into a job casually, meet someone and get married casually, then one or two children come along casually. They go through life this way and then pray for the end to come. They are always going to do something wonderful, but they never do because their mentality is casual. Some of my students say, well, now I haven't demonstrated yet, but I know it is coming at the right time. I say, what is the right time? Now is the accepted time. Now is the day of salvation. If you sit down and wait for things to happen, for health, for prosperity, for understanding, you will remain in that atmosphere, that attitude of simply waiting for something. If you want health, if you want understanding, if you want spiritual growth, and if you take the appointed means of God to get it, then your own will come to you. But nothing comes to you automatically, except what the race mind brings automatically. In the Jesus Christ teaching, we learn to draw ourselves out of the race mind and to tune in to divine mind. Then things begin to happen. You have to make the contact with divine mind yourself. God never did anything for you, and he never will. God never did anything for you or to you. He does it through you. He doesn't grow a rose for a rose bush. He grows it through the bush and the rose petals. He doesn't make a sunset for the sky. He makes a sunset through the sky. When you know the truth, that is God working in you and through you, nothing happens. You demonstrate. Some people, of course, attract failure. Some attract sorrow, some sickness. A friend of mine reads medical books and he knows about all kinds of diseases. When he finds a new disease, he is quite pleased. And he is always sick. Studying diseases is his hobby. I heard the manager of a drugstore in London say that some people come in and pick up little bottles all over the store. They are always sick. My own shall come to me. You are what you think. That is your identity. And remember that in mind there is no extension. Until you learn the truth, you dwell in the senses, sight, hearing, touch. The senses tell me that a wall is so many feet away. What is space? It means I can't get to the wall. What is time? It means the wall is out of reach. But in mind, there is no extension. The wall is a few feet away. I could get there if the building caught fire, or if a tiger came in the window in a split second. From Los Angeles, you get to New York by train in 2 days, by plane in a few hours. But I can think of New York as quickly as I can of something a few feet away. There is no extension in mind. You are where your thoughts are. You know this is true, but do you realize it? You are where you think. If you think of a person, you are with that person mentally, and you are just as close to him as if you accompanied him. If someone thinks of a sister-in-law or somebody else who was unkind, then he is in the company of a person he doesn't like. That is why you should be careful whom you think about. If you start to think unhappy thoughts, say, Christ is in you, and let the person go. You don't have to like anyone, but neither do you have to think unkindly of him. Say, the Christ is in him, and let him go. Until you take your thinking in hand and begin to steer it, you cannot get anywhere. Your direction is in your thought. You have no dominion over material direction. The scientists, the physicists, are usually determinists, because in the realm of matter, determination is correct. Jesus said, which of you, by being anxious, can add 1 cubit to his span of life? Your free will lies in your thought realm. Suppose you jump into a taxi and say, I want to go to Grand Central. And then in a few minutes you say, no, take me to the airport. The driver would say, all right. Then you would say, Grand Central, airport, Grand Central, airport. Pretty soon he would say, well, until you make up your mind, I can't take you anywhere. But isn't this what most people do all day long? They don't know what they want. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want to do. They are unhappy and dissatisfied. They say, if it were only Friday, I would be happy. Friday comes and they are still miserable. If I were only healthy, I would be happy, they say. When they get health, they want something else because physical health has not satisfied them. They have not taken their thinking in hand. As soon as you know the truth and take your thinking in hand, if you are steering correctly, you can find the true place for you. You can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. You can have what you want to have. Your thinking is directed. You are no longer drifting in the breeze. You are directing your thinking. When you get on a merry-go-round, you climb on one of the horses. There is a great deal of noise, and you go around and around and around. This goes on for several minutes. Then what happens? You are exactly where you begin when it stops. Perhaps it should be called a sad go-round, because it doesn't get you anywhere. As long as you are in the race mind, you are on a merry-go-round, getting nowhere. The way to get out of the race mind is by the scientific use of the word. You have always had the power of the word, but you have not always known you had it. Everything in your life today you have spoken into existence by the word at some time. Everything, for good or for evil. The presence of God in you is the word. God is not an old gentleman living up in the clouds, a sort of highly inflated archbishop. God is infinite life, love, truth, the principle of all action in you. All the time you are seeking God outside, you are missing him. The word is not necessarily a spoken word. The word is any definitely formulated thought. If you could read the minds of the people as you walk down the street, you would be surprised. You would see that most people have just a drifting current of thoughts passing across their minds. Did you ever observe your own thinking? Don't do it often, but do it once in a while. Watch the thoughts that come walking across your mind. Just sit back and watch the thoughts, untouched by you, that come. You will see that many are meaningless and futile. These are not the word, but a definitely formulated thought for good or evil. That is the word. If you say, my lungs are bad, or I'm sure I'm going to be fired next month, or I'm sure our business is going downhill, or I know that a certain person doesn't like me, that is the word. If you think, I am one with God, I am divine spirit, God is the only power, not drifting thoughts, you see, but a definitely formulated thoughts. These are the word. The power of the word makes us creators. The things you think today may not materialize next week, but they come back. Every definitely formulated thought is an order that you send into the future, unless you overtake it with a denial. But it is much easier to speak the word in the mind than to overtake it and cancel it in the mind. If you spill coffee, you can get the stain out of the cloth, but it is easier to avoid spilling your coffee in the first place than to remove the spot afterward. Remember that you get out of life just what you put into it. The law of the universe is nothing for nothing. You get out of religion what you put into it. If you put in 5%, you get a 5% dividend. If you put in 30%, you get a 30% dividend. And if you put in 100%, you get a 100% demonstration. The whole universe is a universe of law. There is no chance. The events of everyday life follow along in the same way they follow a law. All material objects are but symbols of thoughts and spiritual ideas. Houses, trees, shoes, hats, clothing, all natural objects are really material symbols of things spiritual. For instance, you never saw a bird with 3 wings. If you saw a bird with 1 wing, you would know it was crippled. The law of nature is that a bird has 2 wings. The word must have 2 wings too, knowledge and feeling. If it does not have knowledge and feeling, the male and the female, it is not creative. We see the law in the human race, in the animal kingdom, in the organic world as sex. In the inorganic world, the law is symbolized in the electron and the proton. So in the realm of thought, there must be knowledge and feeling. If you fail to get results from speaking the word, it means that either the knowledge or the feeling is missing. Every thought means something if it is a sane thought, but it must also carry a feeling. You know that you are divinely spiritual, but do you always demonstrate it? We don't demonstrate 10% of what we could. We know we are spirit. We know we are one with God, but do we feel it? How many of us feel that we look it? How many of us look like divine gods? How many of us, when we look into a mirror, see divine perfection? Do we see there the image and likeness of God? Certainly we do not. Why isn't the body redeemed? Why don't we regenerate? Because we know it, but we don't feel it. Why do we so often demonstrate evil, sickness, colds, headaches? Because we feel them. Even if we think we don't believe in them, the feeling element is critical for human beings. The knowledge is just as important. But the trouble with humanity is in our feeling. Positive and negative feeling are the things that go under many, many different names. Fear may go under the name of anger, doubt, resentment. Yet it is the same thing. Negative feeling is fear, and positive feeling is love. That is the key to demonstration. Negative feeling is fear. Positive feeling is love. There is nothing else. Love always creates. You never knew a man to make a success in life who did not love his job. Love is creative. Fear kills love in a little child before he is grown. A baby, before he is taught fear, runs to everyone with outstretched arms and loves them. Love is expansive, but fear cringes. I have seen people under the influence of fear with their faces shrunk to half their natural size. Fear is error. Fear shrivels up. If your treatments are not giving you the results that you expect, find out whether the knowledge side or the feeling side is lacking. Usually, since you are a truth student, it will be the feeling because you have the knowledge. The man in the street does not know that he is spiritual and perfect. He believes in germs, microbes, doubt, and fear. We know truth. So the only thing that we lack is the feeling side. Get the right feeling into your affirmations. Repeating affirmations without feeling accomplishes nothing. Jesus said it is the feeling that matters. But you won't get the right feeling until your all day long feeling begins to get right. You have to get the right feeling toward God, the right feeling toward yourself, the right feeling toward your fellow man all day long. If you think negatively and feel negatively all day, and then expect to get a quick restoration to wholeness and perfection from 9 to 9:15 at night, you will be disappointed. The real treatment we give ourselves is our all day long thinking and feeling. The first step is to forgive everybody. If you haven't already done that, do it now. But don't sit down and say, I forgive Mary for hurting me so terribly, and I forgive Uncle Joe for his abominable conduct, and I forgive the landlord for wanting the rent. I knew a schoolboy who heard a poem about forgiving one's enemies. He went home and made a list of people he didn't like. He prayed for them for 2 or 3 nights, and then he saw that in making a list of enemies to forgive, he was really putting them on the blacklist. So, being sensible, he gave up the practice. Just issue a general amnesty every morning. In the course of the day, when things come up that you could dislike, say, that's nothing, and let it go. Then, at frequent intervals during the day, pause for a moment and send out a blanket thought of love to the whole world. Just a feeling of love and goodwill. If you do this, you will find a very definite change in your feeling, and then a change in your direction.